And in Ontario, the provincial NDP is calling for more taxes on the rich to buy their support to pass the Liberal minority budget, a request that the Liberals have now rejected. Conservative MPP Randy Hillier today announced plans to introduce new legislation to respect Ontario taxpayers. And Randy Hillier joins me now with his take from the sidelines. He's in our studio in Toronto, just a few blocks from Queen's Park. Randy, tell us first of all, how would you give a little more respect to Ontario taxpayers? What would this bill do? Well,
I've actually introduced two bills, David, and the first one is to beef up and give some teeth to the Taxpayer Protection Act that McGuinty has weaseled and wiggled out of so often since he took power in 2003. And that's the act that demands that governments either have it in their election platform or go through a referendum to increase taxes. McGuinty's wiggled out of that act so often with the health tax and with the eco taxes and with so many other taxes by putting in exemptions. I've beefed up that bill so that he won't be able to put in any more exemptions in that bill unless, of course, he goes to the people for a referendum or puts it in a mandate for in the election writ. I've also introduced a bill that would make it mandatory that every piece of legislation that comes in front of the House, whether it be a private member's bill or a government bill, be fully costed by the Ministry of Finance before we actually debate it at second reading. So we know what these pipe dreams and schemes that McGuinty comes along with, what the actual cost of them is before we vote on them.
That second one, that seems to be just plain common sense. I don't care which party you're from, it seems to be respecting the taxpayers. You might have some beef, from different parties, the NDP perhaps on the no taxes idea. Let me ask you this, because of course right now it's a bit of a standoff in the legislature. It's a minority government. They have to get their budget passed. If it doesn't pass, we all know what happens. We're back on the election campaign. The NDP's had a proposal. It's been rejected. I know your party has said right out the gate, they're saying no way, no how in this budget. But if this sounds like a reasonable proposal, let's say the government says, okay, Randy Hillier's got some good ideas. How else can we get PC support for our budget? Is there any wiggle room there?
Well, listen, we know that McGuinty's been saying a lot of things, but when we get down to the facts of it, this is not an austerity budget that he's put out. This budget actually spends more than $2 billion more this year than last year by the provincial government. He's got spending increases in 14 different ministries, and we actually have an increasing deficit next year under this austerity budget, is what he calls it. I think the only way that you can call this an austerity budget is if maybe if you're thinking with your posterior on this one. But listen, the bill that I've put in makes it mandatory for everybody, every bill to be costed, and it is common sense, David. This is when we go out to buy a pair of shoes or go out to buy a car, we know what decisions we're going to make because we see the posted prices. There is no posted prices on policies or legislation that comes before Queen's Park, and it is a good common sense bill that I hope everybody supports, and I also hope that it does the job of stopping this NDP Liberal dance about how many more taxes are they looking to put on and how many more spending programs are looking to slide in without a mandate.
Let me ask you this. What's the mood like in your caucus? Are you guys ready to go to the polls if it should come to that?
Listen, this is Dalton McKinley's choice for election. We've told him right out of the gate that we expected a jobs budget, a budget that would get Ontario's economy back on track, get the people of Ontario working again instead of leaving the province. This is up to Dalton McGuinty what happens. We've told him what we expect. We'll see what he has to come back with.
Randy Hillier, MPP from the, of course, PC MPP in Toronto studio tonight. Thanks so much for joining us, Randy. Good luck in the weeks ahead. I'm not sure I'm ready to watch yet another election campaign, but if you guys want it, God bless you.
Thanks a lot.